Hello and welcome from Małkinia in Poland. I'm here to tell part of the story of what happened at Treblinka. 900,000 people murdered there in the space of 15 months. Even that is possibly an exaggeration because the last gassing there took place in August of 1943, so we include July 42, so you've got 13 months of people being gassed. The last victims were shot, and they were the crew of the people who worked there, the slaves. People were brought to Treblinka to be murdered, and most of them were brought here by train. And it is probable that this location was chosen because of its access to rail lines. The rail line between Warsaw to Białystok, and then eventually, when it was built, it went to St. Petersburg, so Leningrad, as it was during the Second World War. So this was an important railway connection, a major railway connection. Now, if you come here today, you'll see that the railway station at Małkinia looks like that of a major city. It is enormous. Even today it has a huge amount of importance, although having looked at the railway timetable, the timetable to a certain extent reflects the size of its population. Jewish people were taken to Treblinka, for example, from Warsaw via two routes, one headed in a northeasterly direction and the other one in an easterly direction and then north. In any case, the trains would pass through here. Now, just use Warsaw as an example, but it'd be the same if they came from Częstochowa, if they came from Radom, Białystok, or wherever. And now, the railway station at Małkinia is beyond the line of trees. And this is clearly a goods loading point. Now, we know from eyewitnesses that there were, at the other side of the station, people waited, but also I suspect that this was the place where certain things happened. Now, when the trains came here, it was the locomotive in front and it pulled the wagons. Now, it appears that the average number of wagons in a train was 42. It depends where they actually came from, though. It could be even 60 or even 80. So, and what they did was then, so the wagons came here, pulled, and here the train maneuvered so that the carriages were being pushed. Now, any of you who have traveled in Italy might realize something. You get on the train, you do a journey, say from Milan to Rome or something, and then I think you pull into Florence, and whereas you were facing forward, suddenly you're facing backwards. It's something like that. It's because of the way the Italian railways are arranged. Now, why did it push the only reason that I can think of so far is that this was to stop the Polish engine drivers seeing what was going on in Treblinka. Having said that, we also know from the testimony of the engine drivers that after a while this didn't bother them any longer, and the engine driver pushed the train, drove the train into the camp as well. Previously, the engine drivers had stayed out. So from here to the death camp, it's approximately 13 kilometers, very, very approximately. So from here to the railway station at Treblinka. Now, there was a railway station at Treblinka built, I think, in 1897, and that linked up some of the smaller places to the south with Małkinia, and then from Małkinia they could go to the big cities, to Białystok, to Warsaw, or further if they so wished. And so the Treblinka railway station, the trains were stopped and 20 wagons were, a unit of 20 wagons was decoupled. and then that was pushed into the camp at Treblinka. Sometimes it was 18, but usually 20. It depends on the size of the train itself. I presume if there were 42 carriages, then the wagons, then they would push 21 in. But anyway, it depends on the size of the train itself. Now, a train could be around 700 meters long. It's not just the carriages the wagons were of different sizes, according to what the witnesses said. And not only that, although there is the gauge is standard, of course, and then there's the coupling between the two, so that takes up a bit more space. So I suspect that at this point here, these manoeuvres were taking place. Now, the railway line today from Małkinia passing by Treblinka is no longer there. The rail line was taken up in 1993. Understandable, there just wasn't the demand any longer. That's particularly for what the main point of a railway is really for business. The fact that people can sit in there and be transported as well is just a luxury extra. But as far as Treblinka was concerned, what was interesting for the railway company was the fact there was the gravel pits nearby, which later became Treblinka I penal camp. So I wasn't expecting actually this to be here, given the fact that the railway line to Treblinka is no longer there. Also, a curious feature is that there was a very interesting bridge over the river Bug at just north of Treblinka, and it was only one of two of these types of bridges in Poland. There was both a road and railway, but using this, there was a traffic light, and it said you could actually go on to the bit used by the railway or not. Anyway, it was brought here from somewhere else, and it's no longer there. I mean, it can't be there. And that was a very big modern bridge which cost 120 million zloty. And I was here last in 2007, and I filmed the railway station. Unfortunately, most of that I just don't have. There's a video I did then. Unfortunately, the quality is really bad. Of course, then we didn't have the facilities such as stabilisation that we have now. Now, at Treblinka railway station, people waited, and this is a place where Dante-esque scenes took place. You can imagine a situation: people crammed into these cattle wagons or goods wagons, so much so that they couldn't breathe, that there were times when even everybody inside the wagon was dead, and no access to water, no access to toilet facilities. And what happened in these circumstances was that the people that get to Treblinka railway station, there were far too many. The organisation was terrible. What the Nazis did, they were unable to control it, so that it just happened in amounts of people that they could deal with in one go. And this was the fault of the commandant at Treblinka, Irmfried Eberle, though I think he was pushed by Globocnik as well to actually order more death trains. We know, for example, that Globocnik got the police battalions to go around shooting people in the summer of 1942 because the Holocaust wasn't happening as fast as he wanted it. But these dreadful scenes at the railway station, I mean, something hear this in Shoah, a landsman, because he managed to meet these people who had been there, and with people naked, trying to get to breaking out of the wagons. Usually that would be through there was a grill there, and if they could force the grill open, force the barbed wire out, then maybe they could get out if they had the strength to do it. Of course, after a couple of years in the ghetto and being starved, then most people certainly wouldn't have had the strength to actually do it. Although the grill was small, I think there weren't many fat people there on those trains. Most people were suffering from malnutrition. So getting out, and then they get out and they run to the water, the well, and that would have been a hand pump there, and then getting shot by the guards, driven mad by thirst. There are reports of trains waiting here, even as well. It would have to have been, because at Treblinka railway, that siding that there's only 2 lines, so that could take about I can't remember, one's 730 meters, I think the one's 680, something like that. I can't remember. I'll give a link to the video I did from there. And but only 2 trains could wait there, and sometimes there were trains waiting all over the place because of this bad organisation of Eberle. In August 1942, we know that Globocnik and Wirth and Oberhauser, who was the driver of Wirth, came here, and Eberle was dismissed on the spot. Franz Stangl was made commandant at Treblinka, who had previously been commandant at Sobibor, but because of problems with the railway, Sobibor couldn't operate as at capacity, and therefore the work was being done on the railway line in the summer of 42, and therefore Stangl was brought here to clean up Treblinka. And as is shown, for example, show with the interview with Franz Suchermel, and then to make it more efficient as far as killing people was concerned. So I wasn't planning on, sorry, I didn't expect to see this. I didn't expect this would still be here. So from that point of view, it's quite interesting for me. Anyway, thanks very much. I hope you found this little talk of mine interesting from here. I have been in this area now for a number of days, and I've done all sorts of videos from here describing how the Treblinka functioned as a death camp. On this site you'll also find lots of information from other places related to the Holocaust. So from Belzec, from Sobibor, from Helmand ad Nerem, and also Auschwitz in Majdanek, but less so, and those cases. And so if this is what you find interesting, then you might want to subscribe. I upload every Tuesday and every Friday at 2000 hours my time. I am based in Poland and in Germany. There's also lots of other videos related to things related to the Second World War, National Socialist system, and communism as well. So here's me in Małkinia. Thanks so much for watching, and bye for now.